What good folks, it's Dark319 and welcome back to another What If and a new one for you guys at What If Naruto Became a Sith Lord Part 1. If you want more, please do a favor, like, comment, subscribe and share to your friends, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 1: The Secret Apprentice. It was Naruto's birthday again and he had just turned 6 years old the same day as the Kyuubi festival on October 10th. Unfortunately, it was around this time that the villagers would form a mob to find the boy, and try to beat him within an inch of his life. Tonight was no different. Once more the shinobi supposed to be watching him were distracted from doing their job given to them by the Sandaime and were not paying attention to the fact that one they were watching was being attacked by a bloodthirsty mob. As for the Sandaime himself, had been naive in believing that those guarding Naruto would actually do their job and wasn't paying attention to the boy currently in trouble. However, as fate would have it, someone else was watching the boy currently trying to escape another near-death experience, and smiled at the boy while the taller figure next to him. Both wore dark robes, with the taller of the two wearing armor from head to toe, and had a respirator system hooked up to his suit to keep him alive. "Look at those fools, my friend. How they are so quick to destroy what they fear, and yet the easier path would be to understand what it is the boy has become," said the first and older of the two shadows in the darkness. "Yes, my master. The boy is strong with the force just as you have foreseen and could be turned to become a powerful hand under your command. Should we intervene now?" said the taller figure in a deep bass voice that spoke of authority that was surpassed only by the older of the two. "Yes, my friend. We can't have them damage such a prize," said the first, as they moved to save the child for their own means, and for the older of the two, achieve what he had always desired. The perfect Sith apprentice. As for Naruto himself, he had been surrounded by the mob, as it broke off into two, and moved around him to form a pincer movement that would cut off the boy's retreat. Hardly fair, considering the boy was facing a mob of people armed with sharp or blunt objects to administer suffering to the child. "Now, demon, we will kill you, and become heroes just like the Yondaime when he put you in this weakened state," said the leader of the mob, as he readied his sword in a semi-amateurish way, and got ready to end the boy's life. "But I didn't do anything." "Why are you doing this?" said Naruto, as he was able to move away from the man, but had to jump again when another member of the angry mob with a pitchfork tried to attack from behind, barely dodged the sword strike from the leader of the mob once more. "You didn't do anything? You are the demon fox Kyuubi that attacked our village and was sealed away in human form by the Yondaime. He may not have had the power to kill you, but by sealing you away like this, we can do it for him, and in his honor," said the leader, attempting to strike Naruto again and graze the shoulder of the blonde before the boy could get away. Clutching his shoulder, Naruto dodged again one more time, and a few more times after that before he tripped, with the leader stabbing him in the shoulder with the crowd cheering. The man with the sword smiled wickedly, laughing at the boy's pain, and would have done more had he not been shoved by an unseen power into a portion of the mob that was now knocked down. "Such a primitive people you are. If I wasn't so pressed for time, I would destroy this place and all that reside in it," said a figure from the shadows, as he appeared with his taller friend, and now gained the attention of the mob. "Who are you?" said the leader of the mob after getting up from the ground, with the others with the mob as a whole wanting that answer too. "Our names are not important for you to know, as you along with these foolish people will not live long enough to tell anyone, and will know one thing before they die at our hands," said the figure with the cane, as his taller friend raised a hand, and made the boy on the ground floating before slowly gliding over to the armored figure. "And what is that? In case you haven't figured it out, we outnumber you 20 to 1, and are armed with various weapons," said the leader of the mob, with the mob cheering at the fact these people would fall to their greater numbers. What they got in response was the chilling laughter of the older of the two dark figures, who soon raised his right hand, and grinned an almost demonic smile at them. "Such odds are not against us, you fools, as we wield a power beyond your understanding in this backwater world, and can wipe you out with little effort. Oh, and the thing I told you that everyone here would experience before they died? Let me tell you what that is exactly. It's none other than pain," said the figure, as intense lightning shot out from his fingertips, and the element struck the mob before they began to spasm while crying out in pain from that attack. Meanwhile, Naruto watched in awe at the man's power, and the man laughing at the sheer pleasure he derived from doing that to them before stopping after the mob was turned into that of a pile of smoking corpses. Turning around, the elderly man turned to look at the child with apparently gentle kind eyes, while his taller companion put the child down gently, and Naruto felt like rabbit caught in a snake pit. Thank you for rescuing me, mister. Could I have your name, please?" said Naruto, as he kept his head down, and tried not to look the man in the eyes, though he hoped the mystery man could tell he really was grateful. "I go by many names, child. You may call me Sidious, but in truth I am an emperor of a grand galactic empire that has recently been made under my rule, And I came here to this planet because I sensed your pain with my second in command, Darth Vader, said the Emperor, as he pointed to his apprentice, and Naruto turned around to stare at the dark shadowy figure before him in awe. Wow. You must be really strong to be an emperor of a whole empire. I wish I was able to be that strong, then maybe I wouldn't be beaten up by all those people, and live out on the streets at night, said Naruto angrily at the end, as he had been kicked out of the mean orphanage a few months ago, and had to fend for himself. Really? What if I told you that I could grant that wish to you, my young friend? What if I gave you the chance to become more powerful than you could possibly imagine, and one day show these fools the error of their ways? Said the Emperor as he saw Naruto look at him with wide eyes, and could tell the boy wanted to become powerful. Still, the boy was cautious when accepting due to people befriending him, only to betray him and call him a monster. Why? I'm a nobody. A street rat living on garbage and semi-rotten food. Why would you take an interest in me? Said Naruto, as he looked at the one the Emperor called Vader, and seemed to sense a great deal of anger running through the giant of a man. You saw what I did to those people that tried to hurt you. It is a power known as the Force, which, like my apprentice here, I sense you have it within you too, and we would like to train you in its ways, said the Emperor as he saw the boy's eyes shine, and the thirst of knowledge being brought to his mouth was almost too much to resist. Train me? You really mean it? I would be honored, Sidious-sama, said Naruto, as he saw the Emperor raise an eyebrow at the strange suffix, but then read the boy's mind, and saw it was that his people gave to those of high ranking. Good. Follow me, my boy, to my shuttle, as I sense we have company approaching, and we cannot have them try to stop you from achieving your true potential. Lord Vader, deal with them while we escape, said the Emperor, who saw his loyal enforcer nod, and then unclipped his lightsaber from his belt before activating the red blade when an old man in battle armor appeared with masked warrior beside him ready for a fight. Who are you? What have you done with Naruto? Said the Sandaime, as he saw the Sith Lord in all his intimidating glory, and he would lying if he didn't feel some kind of fear at the sight of him. The boy you call Naruto is no longer yours to manage, old man. You have failed him, his father, and his mother for the last time, said Vader, as he read the old Kage's mind, and knew all his secrets along with who the boy's father was along with the reason behind the hatred. I may be an old man's stranger, but I am not without the power needed to stop you, and to rescue Naruto from your vile clutches. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Said the Sandaime, as he went through hand signs, and shot fireballs at Vader. Vader for his part raised his left hand and stopped the balls of fire easily to the surprise of Shinobi before him. Indeed you are powerful for your age, but I sense that your powers have long since been weakened, old man, and do not have the power needed to stop me, said Vader, as sent the fireballs back, and hit the various masked figures behind the old man. We will see about that, said the Hokage, as he was about to summon Enma, but was stopped when his throat was suddenly constricted, and saw the Sith Lord had his left hand now forming a crushing action before he was thrown back a good 30 feet into a wall into unconsciousness. No, you will not, said Vader, as he deactivated his lightsaber, and then left to meet the Emperor at their shuttle. Coruscant Imperial Palace sometime later. Incredible, isn't it, my boy? Said the Emperor as he saw the child look around in wonder at the city below, the palace, and all the things that he would never see back home. It's amazing. Thank you again for bringing me here, Emperor sir, said Naruto, as he may have been excited, but was respectful all the same to the disfigured form of the Emperor, and was told not to call him Sidious while in public. Yes, it is. Took me over 20 years of my life to create my empire, and I am looking for strong individuals like you to help me keep it, said the Emperor as he saw Naruto look back at him with surprise, and realized how little value the boy felt he had within himself. Not unlike Vader when he was a child growing as a slave. Me? But, I'm not strong, said Naruto, as he saw the Emperor look at him with kind eyes, and put a skeletal hand on the boy's head. You have endured much since your birth, my boy. That much I know. And Lord Vader has told me much about why you are hated along with who your parents are after fighting an old man in battle armor, said the Emperor as he saw the boy look at him, and then at Vader in surprise. You mean the Hokage? He's the leader of the Leaf Village. You didn't hurt him, did you? Said Naruto, as he was met with silence, and worried that the old man was dead. He's not dead, Naruto. Though he should be, considering how many lies he has told you, said Vader, as he saw Naruto frowning in confusion, and it had made him even that more infuriated at that old fool for doing this to a child. Just like Obi-Wan had to him years ago. What lies? Said Naruto, as he knew the old man was keeping things from him, but in what way he never knew, and always felt the Sandaime wasn't entirely honest. Regarding why you are hated and who your parents were, said Vader, as he saw Naruto looking at him in surprise, and had pleading eyes now staring at his helmet. Please tell me why I am? Tell me who my parents are? Every time I have asked the Hokage, he tells me he doesn't know, or I should wait until I was old enough to understand. I have been beaten, stabbed, burned, and spat upon by so many people that I feel like there is a higher power out there that hates me. I don't care if my parents were sinners or if they are even related to the reason why I am hated. I just want to know what secrets were being kept from me, said Naruto, as he hoped the being that was Vader would grant his wish, and that the Emperor would let him. Should I tell him, Master? Thought Vader to the Emperor with Sidious was thinking about it. You may my apprentice, but let him know that such knowledge comes with a price, and I expect the boy to pay it, thought the Emperor, who saw Vader nod physically, and knew Naruto thought it was in regards to his question. Very well, Naruto, I will tell you, but in return for knowledge, I along with the Emperor expect your undying loyalty to us, and become a loyal agent of the Empire no matter what we ask of you. Do you understand? Said Vader, as he saw Naruto looking from him, to the Emperor and then back again to him before nodding. I understand, Vader-sama, said Naruto, as he knew that it was inevitable he would serve them anyway after they saved him from the mob, and had no problem repaying his debt to them. Behind the boy, the Emperor smiled, and nodded for Vader to proceed. This is the truth, Naruto, said Vader, as he began telling Naruto what he had learned from the Sandaime in raiding the man's mind, and learning about the coup being sealed inside the boy along with the boy's parents. How one of them sacrificed himself for the village while wishing for Naruto to be seen as a hero, and how the other had died shortly after the boy's birth at the hands of someone from within the leaf for power-hungry reasons regarding the blonde. How the Sandaime knew all of this, but chose to do nothing in terms of protecting the boy further from harm, and left the boy to survive with little to nothing despite the two godparents, who were for all purposes if nothing else supposed to be raising Naruto. Needless to say, Naruto was shocked beyond belief, as he had been raised in a lie filled with half-truths, and had been force-fed them by the one person he had trusted out of all those within the village that was not so trustworthy after all. What emotion soon filled Naruto's very being next, was that of sorrow, pain, and anger at those that wronged him. Anger at the Hokage for betraying him, anger at the one who took his mother away, and at the village that wronged him for something that was not his fault. Incredible. His strength in the Force could one day rival Vader's if pushed hard enough, and with this fox-like creature that also possesses dark side energies sealed within him will make the boy a strong apprentice indeed, thought the Emperor, as he saw the boy's power strain the metal around him, and bending to his will by unknowingly calling upon the Force. Naruto, while you are here in the Imperial Palace, you will be trained by myself in the ways of the Force, and then by the Emperor personally before you become one of his many loyal hands that serve him throughout the Empire. This will require your complete commitment to what we are to ask of you, said Vader, as he saw the boy look at him now with strong eyes that spoke of incredible power, and the Sith Lord knew this boy had the power to change things in his favor. I will do whatever it is you ask of me, my masters, said Naruto, as he bowed his head to Vader, and then to the Emperor now looking on with joy in his yellow eyes. Good. Welcome to my galactic empire, my new hand. Lord Vader, prepare a room for our newest agent, and have the medical droids take a look at him. I want him ready for training immediately, and I sense his life has caused his body to be quite malnourished, said the Emperor, who saw Vader bow before motioning Naruto to follow, and the blonde obeyed instantly. With the two gone, the Emperor released an evil cackle of a laugh that echoed throughout his chambers, knowing that soon he would be in possession of a powerful agent of the dark side, and that would obey without question. Executor 6 years later, what is your bidding, my master? Said Starkiller to his master that was Darth Vader while kneeling down to the form of the Sith Lord in question. You have done well in killing the two Jedi I sent you after my young apprentice. Now you must find one more before it is time to take on the Emperor, said Vader, as he saw his secret apprentice look up in protest, and saw the young man wanted to rise while doing it. Why? We can take the Emperor now. I know I'm ready, said Starkiller, as he wished to prove his worth to Lord Vader, but the Sith Lord would not hear of it, seemed to loom over the boy with great intensity. You have defeated an old man and an outcast. That is hardly an accomplishment worthy of showing that you can take on a Dark Lord of the Sith like the Emperor himself. You have one more Jedi to hunt before we can make a move against the Emperor, and only after you come back will we proceed, said Vader, as he saw his secret apprentice nod, and submit to his decision. Who is my next target, my master? Said Starkiller, as he awaited his next mission, and the target he needed to kill. Jedi Master Shakti is your next target, my apprentice. She is one of the last remaining Jedi left, who is on the Jedi Council, and you will need the full power of the Force to defeat her. She has been located on the planet Felucia, where our agents report she has been impeding Imperial forces there by assisting the natives of the planet. Crusher, my apprentice, to prove to me that you are ready to face the Emperor and secretly help the Empire conquer the planet, said Vader, as he saw Starkiller bow his head before the transmission was cut, and revealed Proxy coming out of the holographic transmission looking ready to fall had Starkiller not caught him. With Vader, Darth Vader smiled under his mask, knowing he had trained Starkiller well, but knew that this boy was merely a means to an end in bringing all of the Emperor's enemies into the light, and would have to kill the boy eventually before things got out of hand. It had been a dangerous plan from the start when he told the Emperor, as the old Sith Master had first suspected he was planning to betray him, and was fortunate that was not the case when the plan was unveiled. The Emperor admitted the plan was brilliant, as his enemies had been sneaking through the shadows of his empire to secretly plan against him, and Vader could only do so much. Especially when so much time had been spent by both Sith Lords in the secretly training of one Uzumaki Naruto when the boy wasn't on missions for the Emperor to kill corrupt officials that were a disgrace to the Empire. In actuality, the boy was a blessing to both men, as the boy was a natural in the ways of the Force, and pushed himself when learning from both of them. The boy even developed his own double-bladed lightsaber that could break off into two standard lightsabers to advance his combat training. As for physical training, both Sith Lords pushed Naruto to do many things, from fighting in hand-to-hand combat with the royal guards of the Emperor, and running through life-threatening obstacle courses. What impressed the two Sith Lords regarding Naruto was the simple fact the boy had taken to the dark side so well without it dictating his actions. The boy could use it so well, yet couldn't control in such a way that it did not corrupt his body like it did the Emperor, and to an extent Vader's own. It could have been due to the demonic fox sealed within the boy with such energies flowing through the blonde already that it gave him much better control, but even then it was not the main reason for the boy being able to command his anger so well, and use the various skills taught to him. Speaking of the QB, Vader believed that the fox was an impressive creature, and had entered Naruto's mind to meet the creature personally to see it looking back with interest. After talking to the fox, Vader had explained to his master how the seal on Naruto's body would take the chakra that the fox possessed, and integrate it into the boy's system. The Emperor himself was surprised, yet pleased by this information, since the boy would, unknown to Vader, one day be the Sith Lord's replacement when the time came, and the old Sith Lord would enjoy teaching the child all that would be required to take the throne. Lord Vader, I bring word from the Emperor, said Naruto, appearing from the shadows, as he wore crimson-black Sith robes, and knelt before one of his two masters, having long since stopped using the suffix of his home planet on the order of the two Sith. What does the Emperor wish of me, Demon Hand? Said Vader, as it had been Naruto's code name among all the hands at the Emperor's disposal, and the boy only came to him in terms of important information that was from the Emperor himself. The Emperor foresees Starkiller will be victorious over the Jedi Master you sent him to kill Lord Vader, and as such, wishes for you to begin the next stage of Operation Light Killer, said Naruto, as he sensed the Dark Lord understanding what the next phase of the plan entailed, and felt a small conflict within himself about it. Something troubles you about the next stage, Demon Hand? Said Vader, as he picked up on the boy's feelings on the matter, and frowned when the blonde nodded. It's just, Starkiller has been your loyal apprentice and still could be a loyal agent of the Empire if things were altered to keep him within its ranks, said Naruto, as he saw Vader was displeased slightly by his words, but hoped they didn't put his loyalty into question since he was loyal to both Sith Lords. It was necessary that such an action happen, Naruto. I did not train him to be a hand like you were trained by both myself and the Emperor. There can only be two Sith, for that is the rule of two, and it will not change for whatever reason you think it should, Naruto. Sacrifices must be made for the good of the Empire, and Starkiller must be sacrificed in order to protect the Emperor. Do you understand? Said Vader, as he saw Naruto nod his head, and leaving to report to the Emperor. Incomplete Death Star. Sometime later, Naruto watched from the sidelines, shielding his presence using the Force to make sure no one saw his location, and saw how the outcome of Vader fighting his former secret apprentice was going in the man formerly known as Starkiller's favor. It was inevitable, of course, as Vader had taught the boy well, and in a way it was possibly too well when you consider how the boy was not holding back in his fight with the Sith Lord, having learned the truth about his purpose the hard way. Eventually, the battle had hit an important crossroad, which came down to the former Starkiller making a decisive choice to kill Vader, or go after the Emperor like the blind Jedi Master wanted him to. In the shadows of that moment, Naruto saw the Force show him visions of each outcome of the choice, and frowned at how the Emperor immediately disregarded Vader upon his death despite the man's loyalty to Old Man. If the older boy fought the Emperor, then the Emperor would lose, but would not die, and young potential Jedi would fall at the hands of the Sith Master. Since this operation first started, Naruto had been having a conflict within himself, as he saw the man not unlike himself swearing loyalty without question to two masters, and had trusted them in the belief that they deserved it. However, It also showed just how far the Sith Lords were willing to go to destroy their opposition, and that loyalty to them did not hold as much value as he first thought. So what did that mean for him? What did it mean in terms of his loyalty to them? Between the two of them, Vader was more honorable since he preferred to fight his foes rather than manipulate things like the Emperor did, and only did the cloak and dagger actions because it was what the Emperor wanted. Naruto also knew about Vader before the man became it, as the Force had shown him many things about the Sith Lord prior to his fall to the dark side, and saw why the man went down the path he did. Love. Oh, how Naruto could understand Vader's intentions, as the blonde had also wished to have the love of others in his life, and felt a connection with the Sith Lord. Naruto's thoughts on the matter stopped when his mind went back to the present with the sight of the older boy poised to destroy the Emperor and the Sith Master beckoning him on in order to covert him to the dark side once more. Naruto couldn't let that happen, as he jumped from his hiding spot before the blind Jedi Master behind the former Sith apprentice could move, and engaged the older in lightsaber combat using the double-bladed style. To the corner of his eye, Naruto saw Vader getting up, and heading to a nearby door to no doubt rally troops to flank the enemy of the Empire to crush them all in one swift stroke. Behind Naruto, the Emperor cackled in glee at seeing his loyal hand interfere, and stall long enough for Vader to make the maneuver needed to kill his enemies. That changed, however, when Naruto smirked at the former Starkiller, and the older boy himself frowned before the blonde disconnected the double-bladed. Instantly, the newly made Jedi leapt back, but instead of the blonde attacking with both blades now in each hand, Naruto threw one at the Emperor, who did not expect his loyal hand to strike him dead center in the chest just as Vader entered to see the sight of the boy killing his master in a surprise attack. "Traitor!" yelled the Emperor in anger before the Sith Master exploded with dark side energies that sent everyone flying in all directions. And in that moment, the Force showed Naruto another vision, and it nearly knocked the wind out of him for the second time in a row. When the energies dissipated, Naruto quickly called his blade that was on the Emperor's robes back to his hand, and saw the other two Force users in the room still able to fight, now on edge though unsure what to do. Not surprising, since the Emperor was dead, the Empire now stood on a pivotal point in its history, and who it was that would take the reins of power. At the moment, the three Force users with lightsabers in hand didn't have the strength to fight each other. As Vader had his injuries, the young former Sith apprentice once known as Starkiller was exhausted from fighting the two Sith Lords, and Naruto himself was not strong enough to fight either at the same time. So how did he defuse this situation? "Go! Run," said Naruto, as he saw the older boy look at him like he was crazy, and then at the Jedi Master behind him. "He's right. You're strong, but in your current state we're no match for Vader, and the army behind him," said the blind man, as he grabbed the boy, and they along with the rebels were running towards the ship that was docking nearby. "But what about him? He's facing Vader alone and he's younger than I am," said the Jedi, as he saw the blonde standing there with the stormtroopers shooting at them, and the boy was giving them a chance to escape by deflecting the more close-range ones. "Trust in him like we are now to escape. I sense things will be different in terms of the way this Empire is heading after today," said the blind Jedi Master, as they got on the ship, and took off to leave their blonde hero alone with the injured Sith Lord on the still incomplete battle station. "You are either very brave or very foolish to do that, Naruto," said Vader, as he stared at Naruto, and the boy simply deactivated his lightsabers before putting them away. "I am neither. I simply did what was right. I set you free from the darkness the Emperor had around your being. I saw visions of the future in the moment that he chose to fight you further or fight the Emperor. Had your former apprentice chose to finish you off, he would have won, and the Emperor would have had him replace you as his new apprentice after modifying him to his own specifications," said Naruto, as he saw the stormtroopers surround him with blasters drawn, and waiting for the order to fire. "Perhaps, but that did not happen, and I am still alive. So tell me why I shouldn't give the order to have my forces kill you for your traitorous actions?" said Vader, as he saw the boy smile at him and remove his hood from his face. "Because I know something about your family that not even the Emperor knows, and I believe it is worth enough to give me my freedom," said Naruto, as he saw Vader's eyes widen, and then narrow at him with fury. "And what is it that you could possibly know about my family?" said Vader, as his words were filled with anger, and told Naruto to be cautious when choosing his next few words. For they could be his last. "Your child lives and I know where he is," said Naruto, and the instant those words left him did Vader use the Force to pin him to the nearest wall of steel. "What did you just say?" said Vader, as he could crush the boy no in an instant since Naruto was not calling on the Force to protect himself. "I said I know where your child is. When I killed the Emperor, the Force showed me a vision, and it was connected to your son. I know where he is and I will give it to you freely if you give me your word that you will let me go," said Naruto, as he saw Vader's eyes looking at him for any deception, and finally relented before pulling the boy back to solid ground. You have it. Now tell me where my son is before I change my mind, said Vader, as he saw the boy steady himself, and then explaining about the desert planet he saw with a boy about the age near that of Starkillers with sandy blonde hair on a moisture farm by the name of Luke. There is more. The Emperor lied to you when he said there were no treatments to heal your body. I know because I did some checking of my own, but I knew I could never tell you since the Emperor would catch on before you could receive such treatments, and kill us both for such an action. So in addition to me helping you locate your son, I want you to receive the needed medical treatment to heal your body, and look at your son without the need for this suit the Emperor imprisoned you in, said Naruto, as he saw Vader look away in thought, and saw the shattered glass at his feet to see the horribly scarred face that was once Anakin Skywalker. Leave us, said Vader to the stormtroopers, who looked at him for a moment, but the glare the Sith Lord gave them told them to obey, or they would die painfully for it. You know what I say is true. Between you and the Emperor, I felt a much closer bond of loyalty to you because I knew you understood the value of it, said Naruto, as he saw the man close his eyes, and then open them before turning to face the boy. And what, you young one? What will you do now that I have the power to control this empire? What will you do now that you wish to no longer be in its service? Or rather, in my service? Said Vader, as he saw Naruto give him a weak smile, and shrug a bit at him. I honestly don't know. Go back home I guess and see if things have changed, maybe? But in terms of the Empire, we both know that it cannot continue to exist. The Republic must be restored along with the Jedi to bring stability to the galaxy. I know you don't like the Jedi after what happened, but can you honestly say that doing what the Emperor had asked of you didn't indirectly cause the visions to become real? Right now, you have the power to change everything for the better like your wife wanted and bring peace to the galaxy instead of keeping it in a constant flux of conflicts that may never end. Whether you do this or not is your choice, but we both know deep in our hearts that I am right, and I ask you to trust me more than ever on this, said Naruto, as he had learned much under his teachers, and had proven to be a tactical genius when it came to getting jobs done. I can't be a Jedi again. Even if my body could be healed like you claim it can be, I will not be a Jedi again, and we both know that is the truth, said Vader, as he saw Naruto look at him with sad eyes, and shaking his head and disagreeing with that statement. How can you say that? Is it so easy to give in to the darkness the Emperor made you fall into, but too damn hard to leave it, and be what your son would rather idolize? You have the chance to bring the light back into this darkness-covered galaxy, and yet you say you won't all because you fear the light when it does nothing except forgive those that wish to be forgiven. If you won't go back to the light for yourself, then do it for your son, and his mother whom you loved without question, said Naruto, as he saw Vader clench his fists in frustration, and for a moment the blonde thought he pushed the man over the edge. For one so young, you speak words of great wisdom, and understanding of the heart Naruto, said Vader, as he saw the boy give a sheepish grin, and the man was once more reminded that the light of a child could do wonders. Even if it had been touched by the dark side. I've had my share of lies fed to me so I know what I'm talking about, said Naruto, and he also added to the fact he had some good teachers on the subject. One of them was currently dead, but that was beside the point. Go then Naruto. Take whatever ship you need and go wherever you desire, said Vader, as he saw Naruto nod, and smile back at him. May the Force be with you, said Naruto, as he took off to the hangar area, and to find his own ship the Crimson Eyes currently docked a private hangar only a handful of people had access to. And you as well young one, said Vader, as he looked at himself once more in the crude reflection of the shattered glass, and then left to his personal chambers to repair himself for the last time before seeking out the treatments the boy claimed existed. It was time to fix what was once broken and in more ways than one. Sometime later Naruto looked at the planet he had been born from before smiling down at it while he let his ship descend upon it the world and wondered how things had gone after leaving. What had become of the leaf? The old cage? Was he even alive after all this time? How was the village that once scorned him? It was in that moment, Naruto realized that he was free to do what he wanted, and had the choice to use his powers for good or for ill. Though which would he choose? What he did for one side in the name of good could be considered evil to another, and such points of view were always shaded in gray areas. Still, Naruto needed to check on the life of the village, and see if he can start there. He just hoped that the place was worth saving. If there is one thing I teach above all things Naruto, is that some people and places are beyond saving. The Jedi did not realize this and paid for it with many of their numbers during their time protecting the Republic. The Sith kill any threats to them and those the rare handful of people they cherish. Do not hesitate when it comes to removing enemies my demon hand, as such mercy will be your undoing, and bring suffering to anyone you get close to. Those had been the Emperor's words, and for the most part Naruto believed them, if only to a point where such redemption was foreseen to be fruitless when it came to saving. The blonde believed that if the person was put on the path to redemption and kept on it, then it was not as fruitless as was originally believed. Only if the person refused the redemption after it was offered should they be destroyed. Whatever happens from now on, I have to be cautious of what I do, and what side of the Force I command while back here on this world, thought Naruto, as he landed in a large forest region, and kept his Sith robes on, though he felt they were more for him than the ways of the Sith. Not to mention he could always get them the altered in the future. Now it was time to see if he could get in his foot and leave store. Chapter 2, Where Loyalties Lie. Naruto guided his ship down into the deep forest region near the nearby central tower before activating the cloaking system given to him by the late Emperor to hide it from detection from scavengers at spaceports. Locking the ship down until he needed it to make an escape, Naruto made his way to the village that was his home, and sensed the various creatures this place held were giving him a wide gap to walk through. They knew he was dangerous, they knew that to cross him would result in their inevitable death, and these animals sensed that they would prefer not to face such a dangerous being like him. Naruto couldn't have agreed more. Reaching the gate, the blonde force jumped over it, and made his way into the streets of the shinobi village of the Leaf on this cold night. Naruto never realized it until now, but the village now felt like it did 6 years ago, and sensed that this village was descending slowly into delusional madness. There were a few people out on the streets, each of them slowly touched by it, as the darkness seemed to fill their minds, and Naruto knew his life here would have been hell had he stayed in the Leaf instead of going with the Emperor. Walking through the night-covered streets of the Leaf, Naruto sensed a group of people were watching him on the rooftops above, and knew that it was the Anbu that had done so little to protect him 6 years ago. He knew they were suspicious of him, as they had never seen him before, and due to it being so late at night they suspected ill will from him. Smiling behind his dark crimson hood, Naruto headed towards the Hokage Tower to see if the Sandaime was still in business, or someone younger more powerful had taken over for him. As he walked towards his intended target, the blonde force user decided that it would be in his best interest to send the unwelcome observers somewhere else, and to bother someone else. Using the force, Naruto sensed a trash can nearby just below the Anbu watching him, and sent it into the streets, hitting a group of civilians hard with enough power behind the throw to knock them over. It was causing quite a bit of a commotion, as the Anbu had no choice but to break off their spine, and focus on what caused the trash can to be thrown into a group of innocent people. All too easy, thought Naruto, as he walked towards the Hokage Tower, and his smile never leaving his face. Hokage Tower, the Sandaime Hokage sighed, as he finished the last of his paperwork, and stared out the window at the village below before letting out another sigh. After Naruto was taken from the village, the Sandaime had informed the boy's godparents that were 2 of the 3 students he trained of what happened, and had requested they come to Konoha at once so he could explain everything. The 2 Sannin had come back, as each one had demanded an explanation from the old monkey, and who it was that took the Yondaime's son? To his credit, the Sandaime had remained calm despite the thick layer of killer intent his 2 students had covered the entire room with, and told them of the 2 figures dressed in black that had taken him. How the taller one wearing the strange mask had wielded a glowing red blade not unlike the Nidaime Hokage did once, but this one seemed to be more refined, and then there was the power the strange man wielded with just the simple gesture of his hand. Jiraiya thought the old Cage was losing it, but the seriousness in the Sandaime's eyes told the 2 differently, and asked if either figure described knew of Naruto's heritage. The killer intent coming from the Sandaime's 2 students skyrocketed, as they learned that the 2 figures did seem to somehow found out about Naruto's heritage, and took him away without resistance. Since then, the Sandaime realized 2 things that were now going to be a painful fact of life for him, and he couldn't stop it regardless of being Hokage. First, was that his 2 students were now staying in the village to make sure there were no more screw-ups at his hands and save what they could of the Leaf. Second, was that the councils had been in an uproar when they learned Naruto was kidnapped, and demanded hunter nins to find the boy before killing him. The Sandaime put a stop to that, as the poor child did not deserve to be hunted like some animal, and the old Cage didn't want to do that to Naruto. Naruto, forgive me for my foolishness, thought the Sandaime, as he had done what he had believed was for the best, and knew that his decision to send the boy's godparents away was wrong. But at the time, the Sandaime's thoughts on the matter were stopped when his doors slowly moved open and a single figure wearing crimson black robes stepped into the room. The old Cage narrowed his eyes at the figure, which was the size of a young boy in his young teen years, and wondered just who was before him. "What's the matter, old man? Still using all the flaccid muscles you have in that old body of yours except for the one that counts," said the figure, as he smiled underneath his hooded robes, and the Sandaime scowled at him. You have a lot of nerve talking like that to the Sandaime Hokage, said the Sandaime, as he rose from his chair, and glared at the figure before him. I'm sure the two councils would disagree with that statement and the Uchiha clan if they still existed. I must thank Uchiha Itachi for that act the next time I see him, said the figure, and it put the Sandaime even more on guard. Who are you? Identify yourself, said the Sandaime, as he brought out the kunai hidden in his sleeve, and prepared for an attack. Sarutobi Hiruzen, you disappoint me so much right now, said the figure mockingly, as he removed his hood, and revealed himself to be none other than Naruto himself. Naruto? My boy, you are alive, said the Sandaime, as he dropped the kunai on the ground, and rushed to hug the boy. Only to be stopped by the raise of Naruto's hand and an invisible power that stopped him from doing it. Stay where you are, old man, and more importantly stay in your seat. I am not here for one of your hugs, said Naruto, as his voice began serious, and the Sandaime looked hurt by his words. Naruto, I'm sorry for what happened to you back then, and I want to make it up to you now if you give me the chance, said the Sandaime, as he wanted to hug the boy, but the power that seemed to come from Naruto felt very similar to that of the one the masked person used years ago, and it scared the old man greatly. Spare me your words. I did not come here seeking your forgiveness for being weak, old man, but rather seeking out a reason to remotely stay in the village, and purge it of the filth that have corrupted the Shadaime's beliefs for their own ends, said Naruto, as he saw the Sandaime grow fearful at that, and then frowning at him before looking at the door to the room. How did you get past the Anbu stationed outside my room? Said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto smirking at him, and suspected it was more of that power that the boy seemed to wield. Tricks played on the weak-minded old man, and just leave it at that. Now, I am going to ask you a few questions, and depending on your answer I will stay in the village to handle things that need to be handled. Understand? Said Naruto, as he needed to know if he could possibly trust the old man, or leave the village altogether to find a place worthy of his skills. I have to answer carefully if I want Naruto to stay, thought the Sandaime, as he would need to somehow subdue the boy after this, and have Jiraiya put a seal on the boy's body to keep the fox at bay while Inoue locked the blonde's memories away. Internally, Naruto sensed what the old man wanted to do should he pass this little test, and it sickened the blonde force user to no end. First question, did you have any intention of telling me who my parents were? Said Naruto, with the old Kage flinching when he said parents. Yes. Your family had many enemies and I needed to protect you, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto scoff at his answer, and once more flinched at those cold blue eyes. Second question, when I was being attacked by people all those years ago, did you ever deliberately have my bodyguards delay their rescue, and so that I would feel some kind of appreciation for your interference? Said Naruto, and knew the man was about to lie because the old man couldn't even look him in the eyes. No. The Anbu that failed to watch you were those I thought would be responsible in doing their jobs correctly. I was wrong, lied the Sandaime, as the truth was the two councils thought Naruto needed to feel some kind of attachment to the village, and the Hokage coming in to rescue the boy from certain doom would help. One does not need to use the force to see he is a lying piece of human garbage, said Kyubi, as it had long since decided to help the boy become strong, since being in a weak vessel was not something it wanted due to experiencing that for the first 6 years of the blonde's life. Third question, why is it that the man who killed my mother was not punished for it, and why is it my godparents didn't watch over me like they should? Said Naruto, as he saw the old man look away for a few seconds, and the look of guilt was clear to see. The man responsible for the death of your mother is too well connected within the leaf to be punished for her death, and your godparents were denied because in my stupidity I told them you would be better off being in the village than with them outside of it. So the old monkey can speak the truth for once, said the Kyubi, and its vessel agreed with it. Final question, Sandaime, if I stayed here to become Hokage, would I have had a shot, and would the people accept me? Said Naruto, as he had once wanted to be Hokage to prove he wasn't what they thought he was, but now that was not the case, and saw the Hokage looking away for a second before looking him straight in the eye with his answer. Yes, on both counts, said the Sandaime. Liar, yelled the Kyubi with its chakra flaring behind its prison, as it was one thing it hated more than a human was that of a lying one to its, or its vessel's face. Naruto's thoughts exactly. You're lying, old man. Out of all the questions that I asked you, only one of them was actually answered truthfully, and that one I didn't even need to ask. You are pathetic and I want nothing to do with you, said Naruto, as he got up from his chair, and began to head for the door. Naruto, you are not leaving the leaf, said the Sandaime, as he got up from his chair, and moved to intercept Naruto. He was once more met with resistance by the blonde's power and thrown harshly against the wall where the pictures of the previous Hokage sat. You can't command me to do anything, old man. I'm not a shinobi of this village and I don't want to live in one where my parents are dishonored by those they once trusted, said Naruto, as he walked out of the room, and ignoring the Sandaime trying to get up while calling out to the blonde to stop. Konoha streets. 30 minutes later, Naruto had nearly made it to the forest area where his ship was located, but stopped when lights went on around the fencing, and he was met with an army of shinobi with old man that was the Sandaime Hokage in full battle gear. Beside him on either end was Naruto's godparents, who also apparently didn't want the blonde to leave, and were prepared to use excessive force to keep him here. You're not leaving here, Naruto. You're too valuable to simply let you wander around the elemental countries, said the Sandaime, as he saw Leaf Shinobi move around Naruto to cut off his retreat, and knew they had the boy no matter what he did. So that's all I really am to you, old man? An asset? Something to amuse the masses with. To amuse a mob that hates Kyuubi and hates me for being its prison. What exactly did you tell my godparents before you came here? Did you tell them how you from the very beginning have deliberately allowed the masses to beat me in order to be forced into submission? Did you tell them that my mother died at the hands of someone in the Leaf and that you let him get away with it? Did you even bother to tell the people about my heritage after I went missing? Judging by the looks on their two faces, I believe that the answer speaks for itself, and you didn't tell them anything? Said Naruto, as he went to his wrist controller hidden in his sleeve while his arms were connected to each other within his robes, and began issuing commands for it to pick him up. You never told us that part, sensei. Why? Said Jiraiya, as he saw the old man glaring at him, and telling the Sannin this was not the time. Because deep down he hates me too, said Naruto like it was a simple fact. That's not true. A law was passed to never mention Kyuubi inside of you under the pain of death, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto still smirking at him, and in that instant the old Kage knew he had fallen into another one of the boy's traps. How very true, but what you failed to mention about that same law, was that it wasn't you who pushed for it, and the ones that did actually wanted to honor my father's dying wish. In fact, several clans wanted to adopt me, as they were allowed to since my father did want me to be loved by the village, but you told them no and lied when you told them that I should be left alone as an orphan since it would keep Iwa from learning about my parents, said Naruto, as he had read the old man's mind, and saw the memory of that meeting like it had just happened yesterday. What? Said Jiraiya and Tsunade at the same time since they both believed that it had been their sensei that pushed for that law. Surprised? You are. Well, I'll be a Sith Lord. You two actually are surprised by this and thought that the old man made that law to protect me. Though it really shouldn't be a total surprise since the old man could have protected me by not telling anyone about Kyuubi in the first place, but he chose to be an idiot, and decided to let everyone in the Leaf to get their 10 pounds of flesh regardless if it was human flesh that they got, said Naruto, as he waited to see this whole situation go sideways on the Sandaime, and saw the heavy glares aimed at the Hokage. The man's two former students would have spoken a few choice words right now, but the moment never came, as Naruto's ship suddenly appeared in all its terrifying glory, and the blonde used this little distraction to leap up high using the force before quickly entering the cockpit. Punching in a few codes, Naruto flew the ship out of the Leaf, and began to make his way north towards what was called Wave Country on his Navy computer system. Deep down Naruto knew that one day he would return to his home planet, as the Force tends to bring things full circle despite all that it does between the beginning and the end of important events. This was no different, as he had learned much from his time with the two Sith Lords about the Force, and Naruto always felt that the mysterious power was not one to leave things done halfway. So the blonde had, with permission from his masters, sent a temporary probe droid to his home planet to monitor the events there, and record any important ones that need to be known. For instance, Mist was still suffering from a brutal bloodline civil war and were suffering under oppressive Mizukage despite the failed coup attempt. Another was Wave Country in the middle of a terrible stranglehold of a recession thanks to a corporate crime boss named Gato with a bridge being built to the mainland in order to defy the monster. Suna was given a cruel budget cut due to its Wind Daimyo's alliance with Fire Zone, and the fact the feudal lord was giving important missions to the Leaf didn't help either. Earth Country was currently in the middle of a recession, as Iwo caused problems in that regard from the last Shinobi War, and were trying to replenish the loss of its numbers from that fact. The only Shinobi village that seemed to be stabilized at this point was Kumo, which from all the information in his system had not one, but two demon vessels currently residing within its very walls, and one of them happened to be the Raikage's own younger brother. As Naruto flew his ship high into the clouds, he put the ship on temporary autopilot and closed his eyes to meditate on where to go next. There were so many choices to make in regards to hiring himself out to various places, but most of them seemed to bring danger to his person within moments of the people in those places learning of his heritage, and that wasn't very good at all. So instead of just trying to find a place to stay for the long run, Naruto used the force to guide his hand to a place where he could stay if only for a time, and then relocate elsewhere when needed. Right now, the force was surprisingly telling him to go to Wave, as something important was going to happen and needed his utmost attention. Taking his ship off autopilot, Naruto did just that, and sensed that things were about to get interesting for him. Wave Country. Sometime later, as before, Naruto landed the ship in a well-forested clearing, and activated the cloaking device on the ship before setting out to inspect the area around him that was currently poor country. Along the way, the blonde stopped when he saw a girl wearing a pink dress picking herbs, and humming a small tune, and seemed to be without a care in the world. However, the force told him that this girl was part of something important here in Wave, and to investigate the matter more closely. Walking over to the girl, he was surprised to sense such light coming off of her despite the fact that his eyes showed dark scars from her past, and wondered what had happened to this girl. "You sing a lovely tune," said Naruto, as he saw the girl jump slightly, and turn around in surprise at being caught by surprise. "Oh. Thank you so much. I must have been so busy picking herbs for my sick friend that I didn't hear you coming up behind me," said the girl, as she smiled at him, and Naruto felt something else tug at him through the force. Though he had to push it away for later study. "My apologies. My name is Naruto. May I ask what a lovely girl such as yourself is currently doing here, Ms.?" said Naruto, as he saw the girl look slightly hesitant to reveal her name to him, but once more she gave him her nicest smile, and seemed to shine brighter. "Haku. My name is Haku, and not to be cruel, but I'm a boy," said Haku, with Naruto shaking his head with a smile that was seen despite the hood of his robes. "You're lying, Haku. While you are much better at it than most of the people I know, you cannot fool me, and I know you are a girl. Besides, it's pretty obvious that you are female from the shape of your figure, and with all due respect, your chest is not being held back very well by the dress," said Naruto, as he had been around quite a few female beauties, and while not all of them were human female beauties, the principle was still the same. "Sorry. It is my turn to apologize now, as I lie about my gender to keep perverted men that I encounter away from me, and prevent any advances they wish to take upon my person," said Haku, as she saw him smile at her, and let out a hearty chuckle at her response. "I understand. You would be surprised at how many people do that to avoid detection from enemies, so do not think you are the first, Haku. Do you mind if I help you find the herbs for your friend?" said Naruto, as he saw Haku nod in her head, and yet he still sensed some kind of nervousness from her. As the two began looking for what was needed, Haku asked Naruto some questions about him, and whether or not he was a shinobi from a village, considering his strange clothing. Naruto of course knew why she was asking, but told her anyway that at the moment he had no home to call his own, and while he was born in a shinobi village, the loyalty he once had for it was no longer in his heart. Haku could sense his words were true enough despite something about his words that didn't make sense, as she didn't expect a boy a few years younger than her to have left the village without hunter nins following so closely. At first, she thought he might be an undercover hunter nin sent by Mist, but his clothing didn't fit normal shinobi attire, and his weapons at his waist didn't either, since they looked like nothing she had ever seen before. He was from a shinobi village, yet not a shinobi, and had no one precious to him like she did right now. "Do you not have anyone precious to you, Naruto-kun?" said Haku, as she saw him shake his head, and the sadness he tried to keep out of his blue eyes showed clear as day. "No. I have no one. I once thought I did, but then I learned that such people didn't feel the same way, and only wished to use me for their own purposes. I believe there is no reason to stay loyal to someone who does not return the favor when it comes to loyalty, and that only those that return it are considered precious to me. Even more so when they betrayed my family that died for them the day I was born," said Naruto, as he saw how Haku now looking away from him, and knew that the pain in her life originated in some aspect to that of loyalty if not family. "Someone precious to my life saved me from misery and only asked that I follow him no matter where he went," said Haku, as she saw Naruto nod, and saw he knew what it was to serve a master without question after being saved from a living hell. "I know the feeling. Tell me, Haku, do you trust your Zabuza's employer to kill the bridge builder?" said Naruto, as he saw the girl now go tense, and summon senbon needles made of ice to her hand. "How do you know about Zabuza-sama?" said Haku, as her voice was just as icy, and was ready to strike him down to protect Zabuza. "I wield a power beyond imagining, Haku. In some cases, this same power allows me to see one of many futures before they happen, and I have foreseen both of yours," said Naruto calmly, though he wasn't going to leave himself completely defenseless. "You talk like the copycat Jounin Hatake Kakashi, but no one can foresee the future, and I do not believe you now," said Haku, but even now with her right arm ready to strike, she could feel something swirling around Naruto now, and the ice user would be lying if she said she wasn't a bit terrified in facing it. My apologies in copying someone else's words, but I do speak the truth, and I could tell you one of the many outcomes of your eventual battle on the bridge that will happen by the end of the week, said Naruto calmly, since the Force was now showing him such visions of the future like the late Emperor had taught him. I still don't believe you, said Haku, though the light now shining in his eyes seemed to speak differently. Whether you believe me or not now is irrelevant, but I will not let you go into this battle with the leaf down and unprepared, and will warn you of the upcoming events. The day of the battle on that bridge, your employer will betray you, and have an army of his thugs waiting to kill you both after you are all weakened from the fighting. During the battle itself, it pains me to say this, Haku, but before Gato does move to betray Zabuza, you die protecting the man from the death of Kakashi's assassination technique that will pierce your chest right through your heart, said Naruto, as he moved quickly when Haku in a fit of anger throws her senbon at him, and stops her with a force stasis field that kept the girl from attacking. What did you do to me? Said Haku, as she couldn't move her body at all, and it seemed that even her bloodline had failed her too. As I told you, I wield a power beyond imaging, and this is just a small sample of what I can do. I ask that you hear me out, Haku, as the future is always in motion, and I can help you save not only your own life, but Zabuza's as well, said Naruto, as he set Haku free, and saw her looking at him in awe. You can see our future on the bridge, can't you? Said Haku, as she saw him nod, and remove his hood to reveal his face that made her cheeks have a nice shade of red on them. Yes. The future that was to happen without my interference would have been the death of you and Zabuza. Another outcome was Zabuza was killed, but you were taken back to the leaf to become used to breed your bloodline out, and mix it with the last loyal Uchiha of the village against your will. That vision is what would have happened if you didn't die saving Zabuza, but that vision has nearly vanished now, and I have foreseen the death that awaits you on the bridge. However, like I said before, the future is always in motion, and they did not include me on the bridge, said Naruto, as he saw Haku's face change from depression, sadness, and then to that of hope. Could you fight for us? We can offer you anything you desire in return if we have it, said Haku, as she knew that the floodgate for anything he may desire, which included her body for the day, but to save Zabuza from death, then the girl would gladly give it, and do what she must to save her precious person. I have never had any intention of killing the bridge builder just so Gato can continue to suffocate the last drops of life there is out of this place. I have done such an act more than once already and on a much larger scale than this small country. However, I cannot let the Leaf Shinobi here, who are protecting the man, kill you, or Zabuza in your upcoming battle on the bridge. So we must compromise on a way to deal with this in a manner in which we win while everyone else loses, said Naruto calmly before looking away from her and took a deep breath. So what do we do? Said Haku, as she saw him close his eyes, and felt the power he used before, and wondered what this power was that Naruto commanded. Divide and conquer. Zabuza's injuries won't be gone until the end of the week, which will be when both he and Hatake Kakashi will be at full strength. On that day, I will stop the bridge builder from coming to the bridge and disable the Leaf Shinobi. While I take care of that, you along with Zabuza must kill Gato, and any of his thugs that will get in your way upon your escape. If the man is greedy like I suspect he is, then there should be a large stash of money to more than compensate you both on this assignment, and to further help Wave Country get back on its feet after the bridge is built, said Naruto, as he saw Haku nod, and knew that if they were to live, Gato had to die. Zabuza would have no problem with performing the act, but to convince him otherwise was another matter, and it wasn't going to be easy to explain Naruto's prophecy of their intended death on the bridge. It won't be easy to convince Zabuza-sama of what you told me, said Haku, as she knew that the man trusted her, but without proof of Gato's betrayal, the man may question it, and her loyalty to him. Then I will accompany you to meet him and show him that what you say is true, said Naruto, as he saw Haku smile, eyes now filled with hope, and could see she was eternally grateful for his assistance. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I hope to repay this debt to you one day, said Haku, as she bent down, and grabbed her basket filled with herbs before the two went to the hideout to see her precious person. Bridge builder's house end of the week, are we all set to go? Said Kakashi, as he looked at Team 7, and saw they were, though it was clear Sakura was nervous despite the training they did. I want to fight that fake hunter Nin. I'm going to show Zabuza and him the power of the Uchiha clan firsthand, said Sasuke, as he was going to show that Itachi wasn't the only prodigy of the leaf, and he wasn't in the older man's shadow. Why must you always try to inflate your ego to make up for having such a tiny penis, Sasuke? Said Sai, as he smiled at the boy, and was punching rather hard by Sakura for his remark. Baka. Sasuke-kun's penis is not tiny, said Sakura while shaking her fist at him with all her fangirl fury. And you would know this, how exactly? Said Sai, as he once more smiled at her, and the pink-haired girl blushed before looking away. I don't know if it is big, I just assume it is since he's an Uchiha, and because he's Sasuke-kun of course, said Sakura, as she had never seen it, and yet assumed that him being from such a high class would automatically give her Sasuke-kun well-endowed lower extremities. Why is it the ugly people always go for people with a microscopic penis, said Sai, as he sighed, and ignored Kakashi looking at him with a sweat drop running down the back of his head. I'll kill him, yelled Sakura with Kakashi holding her back by her shirt. Calm down Sakura, we don't need you killing one of your teammates over for saying, said Kakashi, as he stopped speaking, and his eyes now narrowed before looking at the direction of an approaching figure. Oh no, said Tazuna, as he feared that Gato had sent one of his goons come for the rest him, and the rest of his family. He was not afraid of death, but Tazuna was not about to have his daughter and grandson pay for his actions with their own. I cannot let you go to the bridge just yet Tazuna, said the figure in crimson robes, as he stared at the group before him, and saw the Janan team get into a protective formation in front of the old man while the woman in the window with the child ran deeper into the house to hide themselves from him. Who are you? Said Kakashi, as he got ready for a fight, and reveal his Sharingan if need be. Me? My real name is not important, but if I must go by some kind of name, then it shall be the one that was given to me by one of my two masters, and you would call me, the Demon Hand, said the figure, as he drew his two weapons, and ignited the red blades that gave him an eerie glow. The Demon Hand? Are you a servant of Zabuza like the fake Hunter Nin, or are you the Hunter Nin that saved Zabuza before? Said Sasuke, as he looked at the boy that was the same age as him from the looks of it, and the strange weapons that made the Uchiha aching to have one of his own. No. I left the service of the ones who gave me that title, and wish to go out to be my own person. I serve no new master as of yet. However, I do know that the battle that will no doubt take place on the bridge cannot happen, and I must remove your group from the equation, said the figure, as he saw the speed that Kakashi possessed, and moved even faster to dodge the kunai the Jounin had in his hand aimed to take his head off. In return, the figure swung one of his red blades at Kakashi, and the Jounin dodged the attack along with several more before rolling to evade another swing that sliced through a tree like it was nothing. Kakashi was shocked, as he saw that these blades were indeed very much like the Nidame's own weapon, but more focused, and were clearly designed to hurt if not kill whoever it was that was hit by one. I have to be careful. One false move and I'll end up like that tree, thought Kakashi, as he began going through hand signs, and was about to use a fire jutsu when an unseen power sent him flying right into the house. Hatake Kakashi, you disappoint me. The Sandaime gives praise to your skills in being a shinobi. Surely you can do better? Said the figure, as he could read the man's mind, and saw how this man was once the Yondaime's student. And that he too ignored the dying wish of the man that saved the village and abandoned his post when protecting the former hand of the late emperor. To his right, the figure sensed the force was calling out to him to move, and he did just in time to dodge a kick from Uchiha Sasuke. Deactivating his lightsabers, Naruto put them on his belt before smiling behind his hood at Sasuke, and infuriating the Uchiha boy even further. Sasuke then began to attack the hooded figure with taijutsu, but the Uchiha's opponent batted them away like they were nothing, and a simple spin kick sent the leaf prodigy flying into a nearby tree. Sai began to attack using his skills with his pen and drawing various creatures, which brought them to life, but a simple hand thrust motion from the hooded figure sent them flying into the house, and causing them to splatter all over the building. His power is incredible. I must survive this to report back to Danzo-sama, thought Sai, who was going to draw some more, but found his paintbrush and paper were removed from his hands by an unseen power that the enemy used to take them before throwing them into the forest. Impressive. Most impressive. However, what intrigues me more is that you serve the man who had my mother killed, and I want to know everything you know, said the figure, as he removed his hood, and saw Kakashi gasp at the sight of him. Naruto, said Kakashi, as he had been ordered while on missions to gather any kind of info on the boy after his kidnapping was made public in order to find a way to get him back in the leaf. This boy is the Kyuubi vessel. Is the demon helping him? Thought Sai, as he now backed away in fear of facing a demon vessel that had so eloquently put it no longer served a master, and wondered what happened to said master of this boy. Glad to see you remember me, Hatake. I am a bit surprised that you do remember me, all things considered, as you weren't around most of the time to protect me from harm from the mob beatings I endured, and only intervened at the last moment when the old bastard of a Hokage told you to, said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi's eyes widen in shock, and the blonde knew that the Jounin was wondering how he knew that tidbit of information. As this was going on, Kyuubi was grinning madly behind his cage in praise of his vessel's actions in distracting Kakashi while mentally pillaging the Jounan's mind for all the jutsus the man possessed, and was cataloging them for future use in terms of training. Kyuubi knew this boy needed more than just force powers to survive in this world, and may need to use them should his original powers were lost to him. So while heading here, Kyuubi spoke to its vessel, indicating that the boy could become more powerful than ever if the blonde learned the ways of the shinobi in terms of chakra, and jutsus that shinobi use while using the force to balance with it to become unstoppable. Naruto agreed since he knew there were people in this world that could rival a full-grown Sith Lord and wasn't about to be defeated by anyone on this planet anytime soon. How did you do what you did just now? Is it because of the demon inside of you? Said Kakashi, as he knew that after Naruto's disappearance the Sandaime's law had become pretty much voided by the councils, and everyone knew what Naruto had inside of him. That is for me to know and for you to never find out. Do not fear Tazuna, I am not here to kill you, just delaying you from going to the bridge until my allies are done with Gato, and we depart from this country without any further conflict, said Naruto, as he smiled at the still nervous man, and then turned to leave having since Zabuza along with Haku were now waiting for him on Gato's borrowed yacht. This doesn't make any sense. First, you attack us, and the next you are saying that you are not a threat to Tazuna, said Sakura, as Naruto put his hood back on, and turned to leave. Attacking Leaf Shinobi is different from attacking your client Haruno Sakura. I saw the bridge being built and I know that it will bring life back to this dying country. Gato has been suffocating what is left of it out of the people. With Gato gone, Zabuza along with his helper will no longer come after you, and allow the bridge to be built without fear of being attacked, said Naruto, as he saw Tazuna nod his head in understanding, and knew that the attack on the Leaf Shinobi here was nothing aimed at him. Without another word, Naruto left the stunned Leaf Shinobi where they were and headed for Zabuza to speak to him about many great things. With Zabuza and Haku sometime later, thanks for saving my ass kid. I owe you one, said Zabuza, as he stood there with Haku beside him while smirking behind his bandages, and the blonde nodding slightly. It was not a problem. Now that you have what you need from Gato's headquarters, what will you do now? Said Naruto, as he saw Zabuza shrug, and Haku looking away with sorrow. Well, you were right about the stash of money that Gato had, so we took about several times the amount that was owed to us. But don't worry, we left plenty of cash for the people of Wave Country to jumpstart their economy back like you suggested, and Haku dropped the money off at the daimyo's place not that long ago with a note explaining everything, said Zabuza, as he Naruto smiled, and nod in approval of his actions. That's good to hear, but you didn't answer my question, and another one I have in why you have no eyebrows. Said Naruto, seeing Zabuza get a tick mark on his face while Haku giggled slightly. Fine. Look, the truth is, after what happened today, Hunter Nins from Mist are going to be all over my ass, and I need to do something about the Mizukage now than later. I still have allies in Mist, who want the bastard overthrown, and with all the money that we just acquired I can do it by heading back to Water Country to get a strong enough force to take him down. I want your help in doing it, said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto frown and thought about the offer, and Haku to his right was a bit fidgety. She couldn't be? No. No way does Haku have a crush on this Gaki? Oh, why did he have to be the one that gives her the talk when it comes to attraction of the opposite sex? I'm not sure. What would you do once you were Mizukage? Said Naruto, as he needed to know what Zabuza intended to do once he was Mizukage, and if he had a place in it. Well, for one, I can make some changes to Mist so it's not a shithole anymore, and two, I'd like to get some Mist Shinobi into this year's Chunin exams to further prove Mist isn't so weak right now. I think it's being held in Konoha this year, said Zabuza, as he saw the blonde's eyes widen in surprise, and then an almost feral smile appeared on Naruto's face before the boy walked to the edge of the boat to look at the water. Yes. Getting Mist ready for the Chunin exams would indeed bring your village a great deal of influence among the elemental countries. But the real question I have for you now, Zabuza, is, can it be done? Said Naruto before turning his head to face Zabuza, as he laid down the challenge of being the Mizukage of the Mist, and getting a necessary teams together for the exams. Once we get to Water Country, I will show you firsthand, and more if need be in getting the job done, said Zabuza since he wasn't about to back down now. Good. I will meet you there in a few days. My own transport is a bit different than what you have taken off of Gato's dead hands, said Naruto, as he bowed slightly, and left via force jump that left the two confused shinobi to their own devices. Things were about to get very interesting within the elemental countries now that the demon hand in entering the shinobi arena. Omake Zabuza's confession, good. I will meet you there in a few days. My own transport is a bit Different than what you have taken off of Gato's dead hands, said Naruto, as he bowed slightly, and was about to leave when he stopped for a moment since he needed a question answered. What? Said Zabuza with frown. You never did answer my question on how you didn't have no eyebrows, said Naruto, seeing Zabuza getting peeved while readying his sword to chop the blonde up into little pieces. That's not funny and it's none of your business, said Zabuza, as he was not going to get into the embarrassing story behind why he had no eyebrows, and why people always asked him why he didn't have any. You will tell me the truth behind having no eyebrows, said Naruto, waving his hand in front of Zabuza, and used the force to get the man to do listen. I will tell you the truth behind me having no eyebrows, said Zabuza, much to the shock of Haku. Naruto-kun is strong, thought Haku, and she hoped the boy didn't use that form of his power on her. Now tell me, said Naruto with another wave of his hand. I got drunk in a bar one night while in Konoha when I had a Jonin team there for the Chonin exams, and a creepy guy in green spandex shouting about the springtime of youth challenged me to some crazy challenge. The winner got the other's eyebrows and I lost my own, said Zabuza, as he fell to his knees crying, and the two around him just sweat drop. Okay. Not what I was expect, thought Naruto, while Haku was thinking the same thing. Curse you, Leaf Jounin. I want my eyebrows back, yelled Zabuza up towards the heavens, and made the thief of his eyebrows be put on notice since he would one day get them back. In the leaf, a certain Jounin froze, and shivered in fear before touching his super fuzzy eyebrows after a tingling feeling ran through them. Fear not, my lovely eyebrows, I will not let your previous owner have you again, and be once ignored of your fuzzy greatness, thought Mito Guy, as he whispered sweet nothings to them, and currently being avoided by those around him. Then again, people already do that every day. Fan. Fiction. Just in. Community. Forum. V. More. Naruto of the Force 5 Snake Star Wars and Naruto's overrated, M, English, Adventure, and Drama, Words, 84K+, Faves, 2K+, Follows, 1K+, Published, Jan 18, 2010 Updated, May 29, 2013 665 Chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Mist and Clouds. Zabuza docked the ship in one of the scum-filled ports of water country that really didn't pay attention to who came in so long as good money was made in not paying attention. It didn't hurt the demon of the mist that the man running the dock was an old friend of his, who owed him a favor from a few years back, and threw in an extra wad of cash just to sweeten the deal. Never thought I would be here again so soon, said Zabuza, as he saw Haku nod, and was a little nervous in being in her home country again after what happened before. Do you really think we can pull off the coup now, Zabuza-sama? Said Haku in a hushed whisper that only Zabuza could hear. That all depends on your crush, Haku, said Zabuza, smirking behind the bandages, and Haku now had a healthy shade of pink on her pale cheeks. In the time they drove the ship, Zabuza had to give the girl the talk, and it had made things very difficult in the days it took to get to water country for Haku. Ever since the talk, the poor girl had been having strange, and slightly erotic dreams that she could never let Zabuza know about. It had been after the first dream that Haku had realized she was growing up to be a full-grown woman, and it was going to one day become obvious to others. However, Haku only had one person in mind to have in a relationship, and that was the one that was in her special dreams at night. Do you think he will show up? Said Haku hopefully, with her blush increasing slightly at the thought of the blonde helping Zabuza in his coup over the Mizukage. I think he will. The Gaki's like us. Nowhere to go after leaving his village, and I think he's on the run. He knows that by helping us, we give him a chance to settle down, and stay in one spot where he can be safe, said Zabuza, as he wondered just how the kid was able to wield such power, and if it was teachable to others. A few hours later, the two walked through the forest to the spot where they would meet with Naruto, and their contact with Mist. While this happened, Zabuza was inspecting his sword for any damages, and Haku inspected her own equipment, and wondered just how Naruto would arrive. They got their answer when something big and metallic flew overhead with a roar like thunder from a lightning storm overhead that sent the two diving onto the ground. When they looked up, their eyes near exploded out of their sockets at the sight of the ship that landed less than 30 feet away from them, and saw Naruto get out of the head of the metal flying ship. Hey, said Naruto, as he leapt down to the ground, and saw the two staring at his ship in awe. What is this? Said Zabuza, as he looked on with awe at the sight of Naruto's ship, and Haku was wondering how such a vessel was kept in secret for so long. Oh, my ship? Well, I did say it was different than yours. As to how I acquired it, you might want to sit down again since this story is going to be a while, said Naruto, as he cloaked his ship, and sat down with his two allies looking at him eagerly. So Naruto told both of them about his life within the leaf for the first 6 years in his life, which made Zabuza blood boil, and Haku rethinking her policy on not killing. Then he told them of his two masters from beyond the stars, who were powerful in the ways of the Force, which Naruto explained was like chakra, only different in terms of its usage, and that he had been trained to be the hand of the Emperor. After that was explained, Naruto told them of how he betrayed the Emperor after seeing visions of the Force that showed what would happen to others suffering at the old Sith Master's hands, and wished to end it by slaying the old man. In doing so, the late Emperor's apprentice would take over, and have a chance to change things for the better now that he learned the existence of his long-lost son. After Naruto's story was over, Zabuza's bandages were destroyed from his jaw hitting the floor, and Haku's eyes were glazed over after hearing the story. "Damn. To think our world is that of a small fish in an endless ocean," said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto nod, and smile at him. "Yes. But don't let it overwhelm you, Zabuza. Your goal to be the Mizukage of Mist is not a pointless one. Being a cage of a shinobi village is not so different from ruling over a planet that some species in the galaxy do. My masters taught me many things, and one of them was do not let something much bigger than yourself overwhelm your spirit, for it is then that your chances of death become far greater. My first real test, as being one of the Emperor's hands, was to take down a rancor, and with just the clothing I had at the time on my back. Granted, I had the Force, but I was barely trained in its ways, and I had to use my instincts while trying to let the sheer size of the monster I faced scare the will to fight out of my body. This task set before you, Momochi Zabuza, is your rancor, and you must do everything in your power to not let it crush the will to fight out of your body," said Naruto, as he saw Zabuza nod in understanding, and Haku knew that this would be her precious person's moment of truth. "Thanks for the pep talk, kid. Though I wouldn't mind a few of those ships to back me up on this even with the forces I can muster," said Zabuza, as he knew the only reason that the Mizukage was in power was due to being a demon vessel, and an arrogant prick at that. Zabuza had nothing against demon vessels since he knew from various rumors he heard about them, even more so from the rumors about the one in Suna, and Naruto's own life in the leaf, that they were treated like shit. How they were always beaten into submission in terms of physically and mentally, to feel like their only existence revolved around those that did. Serving those that hurt them in order to make the pain stop, and were rewarded little to nothing in the belief it was everything. The current Mizukage didn't receive any of that, but rather had been spoiled silly, and used his demon powers to rule over Mist, knowing there was no one who could stop him. The Uchiha bloodline was now down to a handful. The Senju clan was down to a woman now long past her baby-making years, and couldn't use her grandfather's power to tame such power. Now, however, it seemed with Naruto now entering the battlefield, being the vessel of the Kyuubi itself, evened things out greatly, and this force power of his also didn't hurt the demon of the Mist's plans either. If anything, Naruto could no doubt take on the arrogant Yondaime Mizukage alone, and take the title of Mizukage himself. But that wasn't for Naruto, of that Zabuza knew, and maybe in the distant future it would be possible if the blonde wished it. However, for the moment, the boy simply wished to help Zabuza achieve his dreams while finding out what his own were, and the demon of the Mist hoped Naruto would stay to help continue the legacy Mist should have. "Well, I see you haven't changed at all, Zabuza," said a female voice, as a beautiful woman with red hair wearing a blue dress, and a sweet voice that could bend almost any male to her whims. "Terumi May, it's been too long. Last I saw you, it was a few days before the failed coup," said Zabuza, as he saw his contact within Mist, and the woman with two bloodlines that were right under the Mizukage's own nose. "Yes. When you broke my heart and I broke your trust," said May, as she knew that he knew it was because of her that the Mizukage became aware of Zabuza's coup, and had rewarded her in being his second in command. "Yeah. Can't say I didn't deserve that. The phrase hell has no fury like a woman's scorn is not something I could so easily forget. In a way though it turned for the best," said Zabuza, as she saw him nod, and knew his setback had put him in a greater position to overthrow the Yondaime Mizukage. If anything, the shinobi of the Mist were more loyal to May, and her help in overthrowing Yagura would be key to the success of the coup. After the failed coup, May's ascension to being Yagura's second in command, the hunted demon of the Mist was shortly contacted by May, and she had confessed her betrayal to him. How she had acted out in her anger at breaking her heart, and at the time May had believed the only way to make Zabuza pay was to destroy his plan to defeat Yagura. Now to say Zabuza was pissed was an understatement, but after cooling down a bit by turning a forest area into a wasteland, the former Mist Jounin realized that he had brought it upon himself, and knew it was his fault for May doing what she did. So from then on, the two had formed a partnership once more, and planned to overthrow the Mizukage together. It wasn't easy, even with May's position being second only to the Yagura, and there had on a few occasions been close calls where May had to conveniently find Zabuza's location. By that point, Haku was already proficient in her art in throwing senbon, and had helped the demon of the mist escape from the hunter nins. Yes, I guess that is true, said Mei, but she wasn't going to hold it against him anymore, and knew all about what happened with Gato since Mist Hunter Nins had been to Wave about a day after Zabuza left, and sent a messenger bird to her on what had happened with the bridge builder along with Gato's base being littered with bodies. Not all of the bodies were fully whole upon their death. How is everything in Mist, by the way? I've been out of contact with you for a few weeks and I assumed something big happened, said Zabuza, as he saw Mei smirk at him, and give a sexy pose that seemed to puff out her chest to the point of it bursting out. Oh Zabuza, you go straight to business, and think only of the plan before you. How you wound me, said Mei dramatically, as she saw Zabuza sporting a few ticks on his head, and Haku giggled at the antics of the two before the younger girl looked shyly at Naruto. Knock it off, said Zabuza, as he hated when Mei teased him like that, and in front of others. You must forgive Zabuza, my dear. He's just a little impatient to achieve his goal, said Naruto, as he spoke for the first time since Mei appeared, and saw the woman turning her attention to him with interest. Oh, and who might you be? From the way you are dressed, I'd say you're not a local boy, and someone that walks in certain cult-like circles. You're not a Jashinist, are you? Said Mei, as she saw Naruto shaking his head, saw his blue eyes swarming with power, and it made the woman feel a little hot under her dress. I do not know of such a thing, said Naruto, as he saw Haku glaring heatedly at Mei, and raised an eyebrow at under his hood. Good, because I hate them, and there is no place in Mist for one of those psycho freaks, said Mei, as she walked towards the group, and sat down with her dress revealing quite the bit of leg to the males of the group. Must, not, kill, possible, man, stealer. Thought Haku, as she knew the tall tale signs of seduction since Zabuza had explained it during the talk, and how women use their kami-given assets to tempt men to do their bidding. And right now Mei was trying to tempt her Naruto. So who among the shinobi of Mist are truly loyal to Yagura? Said Zabuza, since there were still some loyal to Yagura. Not many. Just a few hunter nin and the Anbu that guard him. The only reason the majority of Mist hasn't revolted right now is because Yagura's shinobi skills and his demonic powers make him too powerful to take down, said Mei, as the man was well versed using his shinobi skills, and the power of his demon made him unstoppable in her eyes. Really? Well, that is about to change since this boy here is the vessel of the Kyuubi, and had offered to help us dethrone the damn tyrant, said Zabuza, as he heard Naruto growl his words, and gave the man a small glare since he didn't want to be seen as just a tool. Please do not refer to me in such a manner, Zabuza. I find it very insulting and you do not want to see me angry. Even my previous masters were cautious in that regard, said Naruto, as he had always kept his anger in check when using the force per instructions from the two Sith Lords, but there were times when such anger would break loose, and cause a significant amount of damage to the surrounding area. A lot of damage. The host of the Kyuubi? I'd heard stories you were kidnapped from the Leaf and they are posting a heavy sum to anyone that will bring you back alive undamaged, said Mei, as she had gotten word from her contact in the Leaf that they were increasing the bounty, and to bring Naruto back alive unconscious yet alive. More like rescued. You know the rumors of certain demon vessels being abused in order to force them into submission, right? Well, this kid was saved from that. Trust me when I say if you heard about the first 6 years he spent in the Leaf, it would make you want to burn it to the ground, and piss on the ashes, said Zabuza, as he saw Mei look at Naruto, and then back at the former Miss Jounin. Zabuza, that is enough. We are here to liberate a shinobi village from a tyrant, not talk about the many tyrants around me that tried to rule my life like they were this world's gods, said Naruto, as his eyes flashed between blue, red, and an orangey yellowish hue with slits before closing his eyes to bring them back to blue. Scary, thought Zabuza, Haku, and Mei at the sight of the eyes changing. He's right, Zabuza. We must come up with a plan to get close to the Mizukage in order for you to kill him, said Haku, as she wanted to reach out to Naruto, and tell him it was all right. Good point, said Zabuza, as the original plan was for the army to build up around him, and then storm Mist when the army was strong enough. However, such activity wouldn't go unnoticed by Yagura, and would no doubt send his forces to destroy the amassing army Zabuza wanted to create. No, in a time when the best way to kill someone was deception, one must work with the times, and do just that. I have a plan that will be perfect for all of us to get close to the Mizukage, but it requires your absolute trust in me, Zabuza, and yours too, Haku, said Naruto, as he saw them all looking at him now with raised eyebrows, and question marks on top of their heads. This is something that's going to scare the crap out of me, isn't it? Something to do with your other power? Said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto nod, and noticed Mei frowning in confusion to what he was referring to. Yes. As you've probably already guessed, A direct attack on Mist itself from the outside cannot work since it won't go unnoticed by the Mizukage, and he will no doubt sense a traitor within his ranks. As such, he'll look at his second-in-command here, then go all the way on down to his other subordinates, and do a new purge within Mist to make sure people once more obey his every command. With that being said, such an outdated tactic cannot work, and a new more shadowy one must be done in order to take the man down. Using my power, I can put Zabuza in a state of fake death like Haku can with her senbon needles, but without the signs of needles hitting the man in the neck, and we know the man will check you for such signs. When he agrees to pay me the money for your body, I will release my power over your body, and within seconds you will awaken once more. I will then use my power to stop the Mizukage from attacking and give you the opening needed to run your blade through his stomach, said Naruto, as he knew Mei would have to be in the room too, and holding Zabuza's sword for that part of the plan to work. What about me? Said Haku curiously. You are the escape plan should we fail. Do you have any kind of explosive device on hand? Said Naruto, as he saw Haku nod, and reveal explosive tags that Kyuubi explained to its vessel were potent weapons for demolishing walls in this world. I will not fail you Naruto-sama, said Haku, as her cheeks once more were cherry red, and ignored the giggle from Mei while Zabuza had a few more tick marks on his head before glaring at Naruto. I know Haku. Of that much I have foreseen, said Naruto, as he smiled at her through his hood, and made the poor girl now have a full-blown facial blush. Hidden Mist Village Mizukage Tower Yagura had just finished a mountain of paperwork when Mei came in with Zabuza's sword in hand and the robed figure of a boy that seemed to carry the body of Momochi Zabuza on his shoulders. He was surprised to hear how this mercenary had encountered the demon of the bloody mist and killed him by using a unique ability to stop the man's heart in order to preserve the body for full payment. At first, Yagura was suspicious of this boy since word had it that Zabuza had an apprentice of sorts helping him evade all his hunter nins, and asked the boy remove his hood. After seeing the boy was different, the Mizukage saw that this mercenary was indeed the real deal though a bit young, and when asked who it was that taught him, the mercenary just said 4 words that chilled the demon vessel greatly. The Masters of Shadow still, for a boy your age to take down a former Jounin of the Mist is quite impressive, and with one of Zabuza's reputation to match. Mei, do you sense any kind of false death state on Zabuza, or any seals that would allow him to be in one? Said Yagura, as he had complete trust in Mei since he knew that Zabuza broke her heart years ago, and relied on her to watch his back when it came to the plan's attempts at rallying support against him outside of the village. No. I checked before the Gaki came in. However, just to be sure, said Mei before she slapped Zabuza across his now revealed face hard to leave a red handprint on his face with the man not even showing a single muscle twitching. Aside from the ones that were hit by her hand. So he really is dead. Did you by chance encounter his apprentice? Said Yagura, as he saw the boy shake his head no, and Mei shrugging her shoulders. When I encountered Zabuza, he was alone by himself, and no one came to help him when I caught him by surprise. It is my belief that his apprentice left him after learning all he or she could from the demon of the mist before taking off. Zabuza didn't look like he was in the best of moods when I discovered him, said the boy, who saw Yagura nod his head, and also made that assumption since missing nin apprentices don't always stay loyal to their teachers. Okay. Mei will show you where to collect your bounty. I'll also have some Anbu come here to take his body away, and then we can talk about you doing some additional service for Mist in the future, said Yagura, as he smiled at the boy, and then looked over at the dead form of Momochi Zabuza. Actually Mizukage-sama, I have not been entirely honest with you, said Naruto, as he put his hood, and grinned in a feral manner at the now frowning man before Yagura's eyes widened with his demon speaking to him. Zabuza is not dead. You have been tricked and betrayed, said the 3-tailed giant turtle demon, and before Yagura could fully react, he was hit by lightning that came out of the boy's fingertips meant to pin him to the wall. Acting with what little he could, Yagura braced himself using his demon's power, and had leaped right out the window into the streets to prevent further damage. Frowning at this new event, Naruto undid the state he put Zabuza in, and leapt out the window while Mei gave Zabuza his sword. What did I miss? Said Zabuza, as he got off the table, and took his sword from Mei. We're about to see what makes this kid so special and hope he can fight toe-to-toe with Yagura, said Mei, as she leapt out of the hole Yagura made, and Zabuza joined her to see if this kid had the power he said he did. Streets of Mist Yagura summoned his staff to his hands while eyeing his opponent carefully, as the boy in front of him removed the crimson robes wearing attire that looked similar to Anbu, but different texture, and was something he had never seen before. Even more so were the 2 weapons the boy now had in his hands, which he connected together, and made the cage's eyes widen in shock along with everyone watching when the 2 red blades came out on opposite ends. You wield a strange weapon in your hands, boy. It is similar to the weapon the Naidime of the Leaf himself had years ago, but make no mistake boy, you have not the skill to beat me, or the power of the demon I hold, said Yagura, as he charged at Naruto, and the boy did the same. Where did you pick this kid up again? Said Mei, as she watched Naruto's skills with his weapon push Yagura back, and use agility one would not see in a boy so young. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, said Zabuza, as he saw Yagura use his demonic chakra to cover his weapon to prevent Naruto's from cutting through it. Your skills are impressive, Yagura. It's been a long time since I fought another with skills that could rival mine, and that is saying something when you consider one of my previous masters is considered one of the best there ever was in the galaxy, said Naruto, as swung his blade aggressively at Yagura, and jump spear kicked the man right in the chest that sent him right into a building. You have no idea of the power within my body, you insignificant worm. Yagura, as he covered his body entirely in demonic chakra, and was going to teach this boy a lesson he would not soon forget. I know more than you know, Yagura, and while I may not have the control that you do with your demon, my demon make yours look weak by comparison, said Naruto, as he closed his eyes for a second, and then opened them to reveal crimson eyes before crimson chakra ran down his left arm. That power. It's the Kyuubi's chakra. But, I thought the boy was lost to the world 6 years ago, thought Yagura before Naruto sent a clawed hand made of the fox's power right at him, and grabbed the three-tailed demon vessel of a man before slamming him against a building. When I wasn't training with Darth Vader or Darth Sidious, I met the fox within me, and wanted him to teach me some things regarding his power. Nothing too serious, since I did not want my masters to rethink their decision in sparing me and then have me destroyed for being too strong for them to control. But it was just enough to get things done that needed to be done, said Naruto, as he had suspected that the Emperor and Vader knew of it, since very few things got by those two at the time he served them. You're strong, Gaki, but not even the limited amount of control you wield can stop me. And I'm not about to lose to some weak demon vessel, said Yagura, as he drew on more of his demonic power, and came at Naruto with the intent to kill him. Weak? Yagura, it is not I, who is the weak one here, and you will soon realize that fact when I strike you down, said Naruto. He shot his left arm out, which sent one hand at Yagura, but in a twist of things, the blonde manipulated the demonic energy like he did the Force, and made multiple hands surround the much bigger one. Yagura tried to get away, swinging his staff at the hands that reached for him, but there were too many, and soon they overpowered his demonic energy when wrapping around him. The man would have screamed out in pain, but one of the hands was on his face, and squeezing it hard to the point that it might explode. And in the next few seconds, Yagura's head did, as well as the rest of his body, and he was no more, along with the very demon sealed inside of him. Damn kid, you sure know how to kill someone in a wicked manner, said Zabuza, as he felt he was cheated out of killing Yagura, but the man was dead, and that is what really mattered. I had good teachers, said Naruto, as he let the body fall, and saw Mei go through hand signs before lava came out of her mouth to turn the remains of the man's body to ash. Yeah, and that's what scares the crap out of me, thought Zabuza, as he knew this kid's power was incredible, but add in the Kyuubi, and whatever training the boy may get here in being a shinobi could one day make him a cage. How did you shoot lightning from your hands like that? It's not like any jutsu I've ever seen before, said Mei, as she looked at the boy, who smiled at her while deactivating his blades, and then clipping the weapon to his hip. All shinobi have their secrets, my dear, and so do I. Excuse me, I have to be elsewhere at the moment, said Naruto, as he used the Force to summon his cloak, and covered his head in the crimson blackness of it before walking away. Why is it the mysteriously cute ones always steal my heart? Said Mei while pouting, and Haku was now glaring at the woman fully for saying that. It took all of Zabuza's influence and shinobi training to stop Haku from killing a clearly obvious Mei before his apprentice ran after the boy. I'm getting too old for this shit, thought Zabuza, as he glared at Mei, and the woman just winked before heading back to the Mizukage tower to announce the death of Yagura. With Naruto stared at his ship, as he took down the cloaking field around it, and was about to enter it when Haku appeared behind him. The blonde knew how she felt, as he had not been a stranger to women, and could see how much she cared for him. The Force told him to stay, but at the same time, Naruto feared that being here in mist was a bad idea, and needed time in seclusion to take Kakashi's mental list of 1000 jutsus to master. Are you going to leave us without saying goodbye? Said Haku, as she didn't need his kind of power to see the tall tale signs of him leaving, and it was hurting that he was. If I said goodbye, Haku, then it would mean I would never see you again, and I find that difficult to be the case from the way the Force shivers around you, said Naruto, as it had when near the girl, and surprisingly enough around Mei too, though for some reason he had found that a bit odd. Stay then. Please stay. If this Force tells you to stay, then surely you should listen to it, stay with us, or stay here with me and Mist now that Zabuza-sama is going to be the new Mizukage, said Haku, as she walked towards him slowly, and prayed to Kami that he wouldn't leave. Leave her? What about my ship? It can't stay here in this world. In fact, this technology cannot be found by anyone, or else a whole new breed of warfare will sweep the various elemental countries that will destroy it, said Naruto, as he knew it was only a matter of time before his ship was found, and he was quite attached to it. Not to mention all time it cut through in getting to places. Destroy it. I know it means something to you, but if that is the case, then you must make sure that no one gets their hands on it, and use it for evil purposes, said Haku, as she saw him look at the ship with a pained look in his eyes, and so did she with the marvel of technology never before witnessed in such a smooth, sleek design. Indeed, it was a masterpiece that should be cherished and loved. Not destroyed. You're right, Haku. It has to be destroyed. Something of this magnitude cannot exist in this world. No doubt Zabuza will be upset I do this, but in the end, he will understand, and if not, well, I trust you can persuade him using those lovely eyes of yours, said Naruto, as he smiled at Haku, currently blushing a full shade of red once more, and had tears in her eyes. I make sure he understands. But how will you destroy your ship? Said Haku, as it was massive, and doubted a dozen exploding tags could destroy this thing. A trick I learned from Darth Vader when it came to objects of this size. Let's just say I learned this move by example, said Naruto, as he raised his hand towards his ship, and making it levitate off the ground before squeezed his hand slowly into a fist. Haku watched in awe and horror as the ship began to crumple slowly under the invisible pressure Naruto was putting it under using the force. She sensed darkness of some kind surround him when he used this power, but the darkness was fueled by his anger aimed now at himself for doing this, and yet there was control where she didn't think it was possible when it came to such a power. Soon, the ship was a ball of metal leaping various fluids onto the ground, and the blonde then threw the now large orb that was once a ship into the ocean by calculating the amount of power needed with the force to make sure it landed deep in the water where no one could find it. This, however, strained Naruto's use of it, and fell to one knee while breathing heavier with Haku now beside him with her arms wrapped around her shoulder. Thank you for doing this, Naruto-kun. Forgive me for being selfish, said Haku, as she really wanted Naruto to stay and Mist now that Zabuza would be in charge, and deep in her mind the girl knew she also wanted him to stay just for her. Now if she could only keep Mei from trying to wrap her fingers around him. There is no need to apologize for it, Haku. You were right. Now, let's head back to Mist, and see the inauguration of our new Mizukage, said Naruto, as he rose from the ground slowly, and Haku followed with her arm around his shoulder along with her head lying on it too. You do realize that because of who your family is, you can have multiple wives to rebuild it, right? Said Kyubi, as he may have been away from this world for 6 years, but knew much about clan laws, and how the CRA worked for every shinobi village. Now is not the time to deal with that, Kyubi. I have much to learn while here and I need your help to pull it off. Also, there may come a time when my lightsabers are damaged, and I may have to rely on a normal blade. I may have to ask for one and learn how to use it without hesitation since it won't cut like a normal lightsaber, thought Naruto, as he felt it was best to be prepared, and didn't want to lose his lightsaber. I know, but that doesn't mean I can't inform you of such things ahead of time, and we both know such foresight has helped you in the past. Besides, you know fully well that you belong to a clan on your father's side of the family, and need multiple wives in order to bring the clan back to its former glory, said Kyubi, as he knew much about shinobi clan laws in its time, and this was one of them. Again, I know this, but now is not the time for it, so I asked you leave it alone for now, and not speak of it until it is time to speak of it, thought Naruto, as he wasn't interested doing any clan repopulating right now, and wasn't even sure if he would rebuild his clan. Do not think you are unworthy of being trained as an apprentice, my boy. You are more than worthy, but the rule of two forbids it unless Lord Vader were to die, and I so need my old friend to reinforce my will across the Empire. Those had been the Emperor's words to him when asked if he was worthy of being a Sith apprentice and why they couldn't make an exception in his case. But now, the Emperor was dead, he was no longer the dead Sith Master's hand, and Naruto could do whatever he desired with his life now. Perhaps, in the distant future Naruto would rebuild his father's clan, but for now, the blonde just wanted to enjoy the peace he had right now and hoped for the best. Kumo Raikage Tower several weeks later. To say that the Raikage was surprised was an understatement, as he had received word from a messenger from Mist that it was sending an emissary to Kumo, and hopefully create some kind of alliance. Now to say the Raikage was skeptical was like saying that his brother was piss poor at speaking proper sentence without rhyming, which he was if you met him, and the man didn't want anything to do with Mist since an alliance was not in his village's best interest. However, if the reports he had gotten lately about Mist were true, Then the place turning around for the better, as there had been rumors of a new more stable Mizukage of the Mist, and bloodlines were no longer considered hated. Of course, they were only rumors, which the Raikage didn't want to hear unless they were actual facts, and it seemed that the only way to confirm them would be through this Mist emissary. One, who was now walking his way here, and opened the door despite being some 5 feet from it while wearing a crimson black robe with hood that covered his face. That's a neat trick. Chakra strings maybe? Thought the Raikage, as the emissary, which turns out was a boy, now sat in a chair, and saw this kid move with a grace that rivaled Anbu. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice, Raikage-sama. I trust I'm not keeping you from the ever-growing pile of paperwork? Said Naruto, as he saw the man look at the ever-towering mountain, and internally the man was crying knowing he had to deal with that later. No. I'm fine. To be honest, if you hadn't come here right now, I would have gone crazy and destroyed it with a lightning jutsu, said the Raikage, as he gave a heart laugh that echoed through the office, and the emissary along with the pile of paperwork had sweat drop running down their heads. I assume you are curious about Mist wanting an alliance with you? Said the boy, as he got straight to business, and saw the well-muscled Raikage nodding seriously at him. Yes. You have to understand that an alliance with Mist holds no promise for Kumo right now, said the Raikage, as he saw the boy nodding in understanding, and was still calm about the whole thing. I know that you are hesitant to do anything, Raikage-sama, but like the other villages of the elemental countries, I'm sure you are aware that the Yondaime Mizukage has been replaced by a more competent one, and that we are showing signs of improvement, said the boy, seeing the Raikage nod his head. True, I have gotten such reports, but that still doesn't increase my confidence enough to agree to this alliance with Mist, and need something more potent to say yes to it, said the Raikage, as like all Kages, he respected power, and unless Mist could deliver, the answer would be no. I see. Then perhaps you should be made aware that the new Mizukage currently has the demon vessel of the Kyuubi as a member of his shinobi forces, said the figure, which made the Raikage's eyes bulge right out of their sockets, and rise from his seat in shock. You're bluffing. The boy has been lost for roughly 6 years. How did the new Mizukage recruit the boy to his ranks? Said the Raikage, as that was potency the man could get behind, and knew only his baby brother had a chance of taking on such a vessel. Recruit? You misunderstand, Raikage-sama. I willingly joined him, said the figure, as he removed his hood, and revealed blonde hair with whisker marks on his cheeks. You? You're still alive like the rumors said you were. The Leaf went absolutely batshit crazy after you were kidnapped and started searching everywhere they could without breaking legal barriers, said the Raikage, as he now started to sweat a little since he did not know how much of the Kyuubi's power this boy mastered, and for he knew could rival Killer Bee. Reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated. As to where I was, that is a secret I don't share with anyone and will not, said Naruto, as he knew that was a lie since Haku and Zabuza knew the truth. I understand. As to the alliance, what exactly are you offering, and how do we benefit from such a thing? Said the Raikage, deciding to respect the boy's secrecy on the issue. As you know, Mist is currently recovering from the previous Mizukage's stupidity with his bloodline civil war, and bloodlines are now welcome within its borders. However, the Mist village needs support in order to recover, and the new Mizukage knows this despite his own pride. In a few years' time, Mist will one day be the frightening force it was ages ago, and we want Kumo to be among its allies that fight beside us, instead of the enemy it has every intention of running over, said Naruto, as he saw the Raikage look at him with raised eyebrows, and seemed uncertain of such a statement. You speak bold words, my boy, and I like your guts in speaking back to me in such a way that such manners would have gotten you killed with anyone else that cared about their ego. But it takes a lot of big talk and blowing smoke to impress me, said the Raikage, as the man saw Naruto, and smiled further at the challenge. I know. Which is why I propose a test. If I pass, you agree to the alliance, and agree to help us with our plans being set up right now for something big, said Naruto, as he saw the man was interesting, and knew the bait had been taken. Really? What test do you propose? Said the Raikage, and hoped it was something good. It requires possibly sacrificing some of your subordinates and having them die at my hands. I don't suppose you have any that have upset you to the point that you don't care about them anymore? Said Naruto, seeing the man frown at him with a bit of anger and then in thought. Well, I do have that one Chonin in my ranks that has been accused more than once on several occasions of attempting to rape some of my female shinobi in their late teens for the last couple of days. There is no proof, but the constant harassment is slowly killing our client list, and those that leave head to the Leaf. If I don't do something soon, I'm going to lose more, and then Kumo will be in trouble, said the Raikage, as the victims always recanted, or were for the most part partially drunk. Set this man up to face me in combat to show Mist power. Depending on whether or not I kill him in the way I see fit will determine if he's guilty, said Naruto, as he got up to leave the room, but stopped to glare at the wall near the door, and used the force to rip the Anbu from the wall before levitating him while chalking. Stop. What are you doing? Said Recruitment before Naruto made a quick flick of his wrist and snapped the Kumo Anbu's neck before letting the dead body drop on the floor. He's a temporary spy for the Leaf. He sneaked into Kumo using a henge, stole an Anbu uniform, knocked out the assigned bodyguard, and took over for him, said Naruto before kneeling down, removed the Anbu mask, and revealed to the Recruitment a man that was not the one assigned to watch him today. His shift was to end after our meeting. Well, I'll be damned, said the Recruitment, as he now hoped that age wasn't catching up to him, and ran a hand through his beard. Yes. Oh, and he is also the one who attempted to rape those various girls. The Chonin, who was accused, looks just like him, but the difference is the shade of hair and eye color that separate them, said Naruto, as he saw the Recruitment wipe his head of sweat, and the blonde sensed a wave of relief coming from the man. Oh, thank Kenny. I almost screwed up big time. Tell you what, kid, the Mizukage wants an alliance with Kumo, right? Well, you got it. You just helped me out twice in a row within just a few minutes, so I'll sign the alliance treaty, said the Recruitment, as he could now relax, and explain to clients the allegations were not true about his shinobi. Excellent. There is one more thing that I need you to do before I leave, said Naruto, as he took out the alliance treaty scroll, and another scroll with both having the symbol for mist on them. What's this? Said the Recruitment, as he saw the one scroll was an alliance treaty scroll, but the other was a storage scroll, and yet held a significant amount of importance if the seal on it was any indication. Something I need delivered to the Fire Daimyo. You see, the Chonin exams are coming up within a few months, and I want to attend with a Jinan team of my own. I want the Fire Daimyo to know just what the Leaf has done to the son of the Yon Daime and how the said child hates their guts, said Naruto, smirking at the Recruitment, who smirked back at the boy and shook his head at what the blonde was suggesting. You want rumors to spread of Kumo allying with Mist, said the Recruitment, as he knew such an action by having an agent of Kumo give this to the Fire Daimyo would make the rumors spread like wildfire through the elemental countries, and that was what the kid wanted. I want the Leaf to suffer, and this will ensure that Konoha's standing in the elemental countries will fall to nothing and divert clients to other villages. And by other villages I mean more along the lines of Kumo, Suna, and Mist, said Naruto, as he knew Suna's situation right now, and the secret meetings the Kazekage was having with Orochimaru right now with the promise of Suna becoming powerful again. Clever. If you're going to be at the Chonin exams, then I'll send a team of my own, and be at the finals to see how the Sandaime is doing, said the Recruitment, smirking, and the boy in front of him doing the same. As will I read the fine print of the alliance treaty before you sign it, said Naruto, as he saw the Recruitment about to sign it without reading, and stopped before laughing sheepishly at him, causing the blonde to sweat drop again. My bad, said the Recruitment, as he looked over the alliance treaty, nodding at a few things it entailed, and even whistled at one part involving getting it on a trading contract with the recently liberated Wave Country upon making the alliance with Mist. As you can see, Mist can bring a lot to the table when it comes to making deals, said Naruto, as Tazuna hadn't been thrilled about how the Leaf treated a 6-year-old boy, and paid Kakashi's team before telling them get the hell out of his country. They even named the bridge after him. The Great Demon Hand Bridge. It was actually quite catchy. No kidding. Okay my boy, the treaty is signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered back to Mist for your Mizukage to read, said the Recruitment, as he rolled up the scroll, and gave it back to the blonde. Mind if I stay in one of your hotels for the night? I have traveled quite a distance from Mist to get here, said Naruto, as he saw money signs appear in the Recruitment's eyes, and the man nodding quickly. Of course. Hell, I do the same after traveling for so long, and being in a meeting like this. Get me ni Yugito in here now, said the Recruitment, as he clicked his speaker system, and heard his secretary scrambling on the other end to reach the woman he wanted. Moments later, a blonde woman came in, and standing at attention while awaiting her cage's orders. Yes, Recruitment-sama, said Yugito, as she saw the man smile, and then look at the boy in crimson black robes, and felt Nibi stir slightly inside of her. Please escort our young emissary from Mist to our Cloud 9 hotel. Enjoy the rest of the day in Kumo, young Naruto, said the Recruitment, who saw Yugito nod, and then waited for Naruto pass her while feeling Nibi now getting a little hissy when near him. So he still lives. Damn you cutie. If I get out of here, I'm going to kick your ass for leaving me when I was in heat, and incinerate your balls, said Nibi, as she had been with the fox before when she needed him badly, but left while tied to up, and left her squirming in her torturous position she was in for weeks on end. Are you alright, Yugito-san? Said Naruto, as he sensed turmoil within the woman, and sensed there was more to her than was let on. That and Kyubi was feeling strangely silent. Yes, I am fine. Thank you for asking, said Yugito, but silently was telling Nibi to calm down and keep her hissy fits to herself. The two made their way to the hotel where Naruto checked in, paid half the cost up front, and would pay the other half before leaving. Thank you for escorting me to my room, Yugito-san. You've been most helpful, said Naruto, as he smiled at her, and the Nibi vessel smiled back despite the conflict growing within her head. Thank you, sir. I must go inform the Mizukage you have settled in, said Yugito, but was stopped when Naruto's gentle placed a hand on her wrist, and she stiffened at his touch. Wait. You're not an ordinary Kumo shinobi, are you? Said Naruto, as he kept sensing conflict within her, and yet it wasn't her own mind that was conflicted. I don't know what you're talking about, said Yugito, as she tried to not to look at him, and tried to free her wrist from his hand. Your thoughts betray you. Memories of your past coming to the surface. You are the vessel of the two-tailed Nibi, correct? Said Naruto, as he heard Yugito hiss, and doubled her efforts to get free from his grip. You are mistaken, said Yugito, as she struggled once more, and began to use some of Nibi's chakra to make him let go. No, I am not. And you shouldn't use your demon's powers against me since they have little effect on my body, due to Kyubi keeping me from being harmed, said Naruto, as he saw her face go pale when she looked back at him, and saw he was telling the truth. So that's why Nibi had been upset since I met you, said Yugito, since she had no idea what the demon cat was talking about until now. I don't know anything behind the reason why your demon hates mine, Yugito-san, but I do know that you have nothing to fear from me, and that I hope to see you again in the distant future, said Naruto, as he took hold of the hand he once had by the wrist, and kissed the back of her hand that made Yugito's face turn cherry red. Don't fall for it, kitten. Fight his charms. He's a fox. Foxes can't be trusted, said the Nibi, as she wasn't going to have her naive vessel be deceived by Kyubi's, and was now hissing at Naruto from her line of sight she saw from what Yugito saw. I hope to see you again too, and Naruto-kun, said Yugito, as she felt her body feel tingly all over from the contact of his kiss, and ignoring pleas of her demon to destroy him before leaving to head back to the wreckage. You've learned well in the arts of seduction thanks to my time working with you, kid. At this rate, you will be getting all kinds of women lined up to sire you kits of your own, and help rebuild your clan, said Kyubi, as he had long since talked to Naruto about the birds and the bees, and there were cases where the blonde had attracted various women to him while in various bars all over Kuruska. Granted, not all of them were human women, but they weren't bad looking either, and some even got Kyubi's attention with sexual hunger. Not now, thought Naruto, as he went to his room, and soon got ready for a much needed nap. Omake No. 1 Zabuza's inauguration. Today marks a day in which the Mist Village enters a new era, where bloodlines will not be feared, hated, and considered wrong like they were in the past. Those days were wrong and will never happen again under my watch as the Mizukage of Mist, said Zabuza, as he finished giving a speech to the people of Mist, and the crowd cheering. This is so boring, said Mei, as she had to listen to Zabuza speaking, and wanted some kind of excitement. All hail the new Mizukage, Mr. No Eyebrows, yelled Naruto, as he used the Force, and the Jedi mind trick on them. All hail the new Mizukage, Mr. No Eyebrows, yelled the crowd, which made Zabuza get pissed off beyond belief, and it got worse with Mei along with Haku rolling on the ground laughing. Damn you, Naruto. Come back here so I can slice you to pieces, yelled Zabuza, as he now began chasing Naruto all over Mist, and Haku running after them trying to stop the man from killing her future husband. Why don't you grow some new eyebrows, yelled Naruto, as he used force speed to get away from a battle-crying Zabuza, and flipped him off like Kyubi instructed to make the demon of the Mist see red. Blood red to be exact. Zabuza-sama. Leave Naruto-kun alone. I love him. He's going to be the father of my child, yelled Haku, as she wrapped her body protectively around Naruto, and shielded him from Zabuza's blade. I am? Said Naruto, stunned. He is? Said Zabuza, looking stunned and then angry again. Well, he will be once I take him home to have my way with him tonight, and then again later on in the morning with the help of some fertility drugs, said Haku shyly, as she saw the two sweat drop, and Zabuza smashing his head on the flat side of his sword. I didn't need to know that part, Haku. Shit, said Zabuza before glaring heavily at Naruto and stormed off to gather what little dignity he had left. Glad that's over, said Naruto, who then got a heated kiss from Haku, and felt her hand on his wrist now and her shirt squeezing one of her breasts. I may have lied about using fertility drugs, but I wasn't lying when I said I wanted you to be the father of my child, Naruto-kun, and I want to spend every moment we can to make it happen, said Haku hungrily while inside of Naruto. The Kyubi was laughing its nine tails off, as he saw the girl taking his vessel home, stripping them both, And a night of intense love-making sex with QB helping and giving the boy alpha-like instincts to help drive both parties wild with pleasure. Oh yeah, it was good to be Naruto right now. And Omake, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Now remember, the disrespect is real. Goodbye.